Hello again, everyone. Thank you for waiting. Welcome to a new edition of JALTEST Diagnostics webinars. Today, I am lucky to be in a good company. My colleague Jorge will host part of this webinar, which is actually one of the last editions of this year. And I want to take advantage of this moment to say a big thank you to everyone who joined us during this season. And of course, to invite you all to keep following us in 2021, because we plan to continue creating new webinars, new vlogs, more case studies, and other useful content. So if you guys had any topic suggestions, please don't be shy. Go ahead and send us your requests through our social media channels. You know that we are in LinkedIn and Facebook, or also you can send us these requests to our email, customersupport@jaltest.com, to let us know. As always, you will have a chat window available for your questions. Jorge and I will be during the webinar on the other side with the answers. Also, this webinar is being recorded so that you can enjoy it in our YouTube channel in a few days, or even share it with somebody else if you wish to. Okay, guys, so in this webinar, we're going to discover which are the most used models of equipment in the North American market. And then we will review the coverage in JALTEST off-highway for each of them. To prepare this webinar, we have used data from Randall Reilly that were included in a report about the used equipment market in 2020 that was recently published by Equipment World. The data shows in detail the financed used equipment sales in the first part of the year. Even if we are in an exceptional year, we can take the ranking as a good sample of what is being demanded by the market. It is interesting because according to this report, used equipment is playing an increasing role to this in this present year, as equipment buyers struggle to navigate 2020's strange environment. Despite of this uncertainty, bidding companies, which are one of the main distribution channels for this used equipment, say that overall, the vast majority of equipment categories would be performing above expectations so far. Among these different factors that explain this scenario, we could find that the credit is still available, that there is more availability of used equipment as a result of the increase of lease returns, and finally, because there is still work going on. In any case, it seems clear that buyers and sellers would be happy to make sure that the equipment that they are buying or they are selling is in a good shape and is in perfect conditions. And it is right there where JALTEST Diagnostics of Highway come to play as an important and necessary tool to be utilized for the service and maintenance of each piece of equipment. As you all know, with JALTEST Diagnostics, we can hook up to the machine and view all the electronic systems that are available. That allows us to diagnose and carry out certain functions that will be available across the board. Reading and clearing fault codes is the essence of the tool, and this will be available for all the systems, as will be the ECU data, light data, and calibrations. The purpose of this presentation is to go into the different differential factors of the 5 most common machines in each category, given that most of you will work on it sooner or later and to have an edge while using JALTEST. So let's go ahead and see which are the top 5 used models for 5 of the main different equipment categories. So we start with small equipment, and within compact track loaders, we find the Caterpillar 259D. Then in skid steers, the most financed model is the Bobcat S650. Moving into heavier equipment, the most used wheel loader has been the John Deere 544K, according to the report. And another John Deere, in this case the 210GLC, would be also the most used excavator. Finally, the Caterpillar D6N LGP version would be the best selling dozer model during this part of the 2020 year. Okay, so once we know the top ranked models, we want to show you which are the capabilities of JALTEST Diagnostics off-highway for each of them. So we start with compact truck loaders, a type of compact equipment very demanded for different purposes and easy to be found in different industries, like for example, the housing one. In the same way that it happens with the rest of equipment categories in Caterpillar, JALTEST Diagnostics offers a very good coverage in this Caterpillar 259D that goes further than the engine side. For example, being able to calibrate hydraulics and transmissions through the body computer systems. As for the engine, this machine comes with Caterpillar 3.3B, in which we could perform an injector coding, different maintenance capabilities related to the after treatment as well. So let's go better to the software and take a look at the different options that we have, for example, under maintenance. Okay, so once in the software, as always, this is going to be the main screen. So we will need to go to off-highway and construction equipment. And here, basically, we'll go to Caterpillar. And we'll go to the 200 series and then 250 series. Okay, so this is going to be the main screen where we're going to find all the different electronic systems that are going to be available for this specific series. In this case, we're talking about maintenance options, so we will need to go to the engine. Okay, there it is. These are our engine options. So we'll go to the 3.3B, which is our engine, and later, my colleague Jorge will tell you about the different connectors that we can use for Caterpillar equipment, but also take a look here to the help that we provide in order to find the diagnostic port within the machine, because sometimes it's not easy. As you can see, we can have different options. We have the location one, which is over there, and then we could have also this location, the relay box, or even behind the seat, as you can see. So this is a quite useful help that you want to use. Okay, so once we select the right connector, we'll go and connect. And we were looking for the maintenance options that we will have available for this particular engine. So as you can see, once in maintenance, we have the particulate filter regeneration or the regeneration counter start, which should be performed to reset the counters of the particulate filter regeneration to start a new cycle. This is a maintenance action that has to be performed whenever we change the filter. We also have another maintenance, which is called soot or soot content on the particulate filter that is directly related to the correct functioning of the differential pressure sensor of the particulate filter. This specific sensor is important because it informs about the clogging level of the filter. In order for this sensor to work and measure properly, it is advisable to carry out this action and performing particulate filter regeneration so that the adaptation values are reset. Okay, so we go back. So for this particular engine, we have access to system technical data as well, which is quite helpful because in addition to information about the timing torques, as you can see, it also provides information about components, such as operational values, pictures, locations, or even their positioning into the wiring diagram. For example, we have just talked about the differential pressure sensor, okay, on the particulate filter. If we go to it, we could see how it looks like. In this case, we have an schematics. Some other times we will have a real picture. We can see where it is located, okay, and also the pinout, okay. So there you have the different configurations of the pins. And also, we can also check the positioning in the wiring diagram, just in case you want to check and make sure that the wiring is correct, it's working properly. So all the wiring diagrams in JALTEST are dynamic, so you can basically play with it. You hover over the mouse and you can see the information. In this case, we already have the sensor that we were looking for highlighted. And it's useful because, for example, if you were looking for this particular connection to a 36 pin in the socket in the electronic control unit, in the engine management control unit, you just need to double click on it. You can check where it is located. The electronic control unit, in this case, is going to be over there. And you will follow the instructions to find the pin location. In this case, it's going to be in the socket 2. So we have the socket 1 and the socket 2, and we were looking for the 36. So with this help of the positioning of the pins, we're going to find the pin very easily. Okay. Perfect. So let's disconnect here and get back to the presentation to follow with the next category. So we continue with a more compact equipment. In this case, skid steers. Here, the model on the top of the ranking has been the Bobcat S650, which is a very interesting model that presents some particularities that must be commented. As you probably know, for a few years, these Bobcat skid steers came with Doosan engines, while in the past they used to be manufactured with Kubota ones. In this case, the engine is a Doosan DL02 Tier 4. In order to hook up to this engine, we're going to need the specific Doosan cable, the JDC 5478 that you have in the screen. That is also going to be used for the L03 engines of Doosan. Unfortunately, in this industry, there is no SAE standard on connectors. So we will need to connect based on the manufacturer and sometimes on the model specifications. So let's take a look into the software and see what we can find in this engine, which has a great coverage in JALTEST as it comes full of bidirectional controls. All right, so let's go back to off-highway and construction equipment menu. In this case, we need to go to Bobcat. Remember that you have in the middle of the screen your favorite ones that you can basically set up as you wish. Here, we need to go to the right series, S series, and 600 series. Okay, so in this case, we go to the engine. Then we have the Doosan engine. We would like to get back just for a second so that you can see exactly how the cable looks like. Okay, and the engine and the pinout configuration. So basically, this is going to be the 547A, the cable for Doosan engines. Okay, so once selected the connector, we'll go and connect. Remember that you can use the multi-pins connection just in case you don't have the cable. You can always try it with the multi-pins. Okay, so once in the system, once we have connected to the system, sorry, we can go, for example, and go to system checks and see the different options that we have. As you can see, we have the EGR valve, the cylinder cutout, injector bus test, fuel metering valve dynamic test, fuel metering valve, and so on. Okay, so different options. If we get back, we can also check some calibrations, the high pressure pump, the EGR valve again, camshaft and crankshaft sensors, fuel metering valve, injector resets, and so on. So as you can see, it comes very complete in JALTEST. Okay, so beyond the engine, as for the rest and for the rest of the systems, we will need to use the specific Bobcat connector for proprietary Bobcat systems, which is going to be the JDC539. I will show you right now, which is also super important, by the way, because it allows us to perform diagnostic actions without having a key. Thanks to its morphology, because this cable has 2 heads, we will be able to connect to the canvas without opening the circuit. For example, we could perform an important preventative maintenance action, like it is the maintenance counter reset through the body computer. Okay, so we'll go to the body computer, and we go to connections. We will see the connector that I was talking to you about. Okay, so this is the JDC539A with 2 heads and with the switch on it. Okay, so we will connect. And here we are in the already connected to the body computer, and this option is going to be here, the maintenance reset, together with other maintenance options. So if you're curious about this action, I want to know more, I invite you to check the vlog that we did a few weeks ago. In this vlog, you will find the case study dedicated to this specific action, and you will find the link in the description of the video whenever we publish in YouTube, or if you need, you can also send us an email and we will send it to you. Okay, I'm gonna disconnect for the body computer. Okay, and as for the hydraulics, it is very important to mention the calibration or reset of the actuators that is performed through the electronic modules as well. Okay, so we'll go here, and it's going to be on the ACS electronic module. The reason why this action is important is because Bobcat actuators have a high cost, and if the calibration is not performed after the replacement of the component, the operation of the machine won't be correct. Another interesting feature is the technical release that will guide you through the manual process for the transmission calibration in models with selectable joystick controls. And this type of machines use the transmission system as the steering system. So this calibration won't only be carried out after the replacement of the components, but also as maintenance to carry out a correction of the machine's direction cost due the wear of the different components after use. Okay, it's gonna be here. In order to find this technical release, we will go to electronic module and then to the SJC. As I said before, this stands for selectable joystick controls, and we will connect. Okay. Hydrostatic pump. As always, we will need to type the expert mode code whenever we change the parameters or change the behavior of the control unit. We will need it. The process in this case for the calibration of the transmission will be different depending on the display configuration that we have in the machine. So first of all, we have the first screen with information about the process. Then we click on the check mark. Here we have the message saying that this is not an automatic calibration, but this is a manual one. Okay, we will need to select which is our display in our machine, and we have this help here. So if we expand, we can see the 2 possible options. Okay, so that we make sure which is the one we have in our machine, the one or the first one or the second one, and then we will need to select the one that we have in order to access to the technical release and find all the instructions to perform the calibration on the transmission. Okay, so you have the initial conditions. Okay, and also a step-by-step procedure about how to go on the calibration. Okay. Of course, this technical release can be printed out if you wish, or you can get a PDF copy in your computer. That's totally fine. Okay. All right. So I'm gonna disconnect here, and I'm gonna get back to the presentation. Okay, to move into a bigger equipment, let's begin with wheel loaders. In this equipment category, the best-selling model in the first part of the year was a classic one, the John Deere 544K. One of the main things to be said about this wheel loader is that it could come with different John Deere engine configurations, from Tier 3 options to Tier 4, both versions, interim and final. In JALTEST, we will find coverage for all of them, offering system technical data, wiring diagrams, and troubleshooting by symptoms. But not only that, all these different engines will come very complete with important bidirectional controls. So let's go again into the software so that we can take a look at some of the actions offered in the Tier 3 engines. Okay. So we'll go again back to the main screen in the off-highway and construction equipment, and we can also look for the brands here with the search bar, which I recommend you to use to save time. We're in John Deere. In this case, we can also use this bar at the top to filter by model. In this case, the 544. And this is going to be our wheel loader. Okay, you can see these are going to be all the different engine options that we have, same options that we could find on the OEM software. In this case, I would like to take a look to the level 15. Okay, it's a Tier 3 stage 3. Then my colleague Jorge will talk about another John Deere, and we will talk about the Tier 4 option. Okay, so we'll connect. Remember that for John Deere engines, most of the times you will be using the 9-pin connector, the green one. Okay. So here, I want to show you different things. For example, if we go to parameters, we have the injector coding and the injector change. So just to show you how it looks like, the injector coding, an important actions that has to be performed whenever an injector is installed or replaced, so that the new code gets updated in the ECU. The same happens whenever we change the whole ECU. In this case, we will need to update every injector code. This is very important in order to ensure the optimization of the amount of fuel supplied and to minimize the variations of the injected fuel among injectors. So here we have the guide. So we have the 3 lines, the part number of the John Deere, the serial number, and the calibration code. Okay. We'll need to the check mark, and we will see the current values of the different cylinders, part number of John Deere, serial number, calibration code. Here we have the question, do you want to modify the parameters? So let's say that we want. We just need to select the injector that we want to change, injector 3, for example, and just type the code. Okay. Okay, injector code. Okay, attention, modifications on this kind of parameter must only be performed by qualified people aware of legal requirements. So, you know, like we always provide this kind of information. And there you have the current values data to be set. Here you have it displayed. Okay. And this is the way we're going to codify the injectors. Okay. Also, let's get back to the engine menu. Other options are going to be the EGR valve and the EGR calibration. EGR valve and the VGT calibration. Okay. So important actions here that you can have: system checks. You have the cylinder cutout, cylinder performance test. You can see this John Deere engine Tier 3 comes also very complete. Not only when it comes to bidirectionals, but also you have technical information. For example, important to mention the troubleshooting by symptoms here, which is useful information on the repair. Okay, so whenever we have a problem in the engine that we are not getting a fault code, and probably we get an issue that is more technical or mechanical related, we can find here a list with different symptoms, and for each particular symptoms we are going to have the specific troubleshooting. Okay, so for example, let's say that we have our engine expelling black smoke. So we will click on it, and then you have a full list of different possible causes that you can go and check just to find the origin of the problem. Okay, there you have. All right, let's go on disconnect here. Yep. Perfect. So last but not least, another important bidirectional control available for this John Deere 544K will be the calibration of the transmission. Okay, that is recommended after we replace the different system components to ensure the correct behavior. Okay, you will find it also here. All right, so now I would like to invite my colleague Jorge to join and continue with the webinar. We will explore the JALTEST coverage for the last two categories, excavators and dozers. So Jorge, all yours.
Thank you, Marcos, and hello, everyone. So I will continue this list. Excuse me. Can you see my screen, right? Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
So I will continue this list saying the coverage that JALTEST Off-Highway provides in another two top construction models. So I will start with excavators. For excavators, according to Equipment World, we have again a John Deere. In this case, the model is a mid-size excavator John Deere 210 GLC, a very popular model in the construction industry and also in the oil industry. JALTEST Off-Highway covers 4 different potential John Deere engines in this excavator, differentiated by the anti-pollution regulation. As Marcos has mentioned before, in John Deere, we have Tier 3 and final Tier 4 and interim Tier 4. And also, our diagnostic solution provides a very large coverage on the hydraulic system and includes not just advanced diagnostics with proprietary fault and leaf data, but also technical information about the components, the wiring diagrams, and advanced functions like the implement calibration. Now, I will go to the software in order to, hold on, okay. In order to see the coverage that we have in John Deere, okay, we go to the make, and we select the model that in this case is this one. So as I mentioned before, JALTEST Off-Highway has a very large coverage in very different systems. And here I would like to highlight the 2 different connectors that we have in this type of vehicle, that are the John Deere connector for the engine, that is the green 9 pins connector, and the Hitachi connector for the rest of the equipment. As you may know, Hitachi and John Deere has a long-term relation in the construction and manufacture of their vehicles. And for example, if we click in the body computer to perform actions in the hydraulics of this excavator, we will see that the connector is the Hitachi GDC 535 adapter. And we have always information about the pinout, the location, and so on, okay? But instead, if we go to the engine, so for example, I'm gonna go to the entering tier 4, the connector we will find is the 9-pin connector, this one, and the location that could be above the other one, okay? So JALTEST off-highway help us with the connection in the vehicle, providing information about where are they located and the cable needed. Very important in John Deere because, as I said before, we have two connectors, and in some occasion the cables are others. Okay. Regarding this entering tier 4, I select this one because we have a very important action here that other maintenance features I would like to highlight. That is the regeneration with salt level in service mode. This type of regeneration must be carried out whenever the measurement related to the particular filter indicates service mode. That service mode causes the engine to run in a limited way. And this process is performed automatically through JALTEST, accessing to maintenance, and we will have here the option that is the regeneration with short level in service mode. This action is not short, it takes like 3 hours, and after performing that, we will be requested to perform a reset in the differential pressure. Okay. Regarding other actions, as you can see here, we have technical information like system technical data, wiring diagrams, troubleshooting by symptoms. We have also advanced information about faults and components in the diagnostics. And we have also other bidirectional tests like system checks, calibration, maintenance, parameters, etc. For example, talking again about the after treatment system, I would like to show you the coverage that we have for this excavator. Okay, this coverage, the after treatment coverage, is more and more important and becoming a basic requirement because of the evolution of these machines. Okay, so for example, for the exhaust gas recirculation valve, the EGR valve, we can turn on and turn off in order to see if the system is working properly. Also, we can calibrate the EGR valve by this is a function that set the maximum and the minimum position, and we have available in calibration. Okay. And regarding the DPF, the diesel particulate filters, for this part we have, for example, the configuration. We can modify the parameters in order to when we change some of the component of the diesel oxidant catalyst or the DPF, we can do this configuration in the ECU through this DPF coding. Okay, this is important when we replace one of the components. Also, if we go to maintenance, as I said before, we have the regeneration with salt level in service mode, but also other DPF regeneration and also an after treatment system for clearing. Okay, so these are advanced functions for the after treatment system. If instead of a tier 4 entering, I will connect to final tier 4, we will have also action for the SCR. Okay, so for example, we will have system checks for the DEF pump. Also, we will have the coolant purge from the DEF system, and other advanced functions through maintenance and system checks. Okay. As you could see, JALTEST off-highway provides a very large coverage in all the systems of this excavator with dealer-level bidirectional tests and technical information, not just in the engines, also in other modules and systems. Okay. We have focused on the after treatment system, but we have a lot of more advanced function. Okay. Going back to the presentation, now I will talk about the last model that we are going to check in, that is a Caterpillar. Another popular model in the construction and the oil industry. This is the Caterpillar D6N, a dozer for low ground pressure and one of the latest Caterpillar models, this D6N. Well, dozers, as you may know, are characterized for being a very versatile equipment, and for the reason it is very common to find different motorizations. For this D6N, the most popular engines are the C6.6 interim tier 4 and the C7.1 final tier 4. But also, as I mentioned before, JALTEST off-highway brings coverage in other potential engines. For example, small engines like the Caterpillar C4.4 and a bigger one like the C9 and C9.3 that can be available in this D6 Caterpillar series, okay? So the all makes and all system solution provides advanced diagnostics in all the system of the D6N, the engine, the after treatment, the transmission, the hydraulics, etc. Providing advanced tests like transmissions and hydraulic valve calibration, or after treatment checks like the ones that we have seen for John Deere, okay? I'm gonna go to the software in order to show you something that Marcos mentioned before regarding Caterpillar, okay? So we go to Caterpillar and we select this series and the D6 series that includes the D6N. Okay, here we have all the system that JALTEST off-highway coverage. And here, before connecting, Caterpillar ECU can communicate through different protocols. Can communicate through the J1939 and also the Caterpillar protocol or the CDL. Okay, for the reason we can find some checks and functions available through CDL and also others through the J1939. Okay, depending on the machine and the equipment. For the reason, when we connect with JALTEST off-highway to a Caterpillar machine, like this D6N dozer, the software will ask us to choose between the two connectors, okay? So here you have the information, and it depends on the protocol communication. For example, I'm gonna connect to a C9 engine, and if we click in how to connect, we have information about the location and the connector needed. In this case, if we are talking about the communication, the protocol of Caterpillar, this will be probably the connector, that is the old one, JDC 505 adapter. But also, if we have this other connector, that is the new one of Caterpillar, that is the GDC 533A, okay? Again, we have the pinout, the location, and additional information about how to connect. We can find the 3 different places in this dossier just to make it easier for you, okay? So I'm going to connect to this system, to this C9 Caterpillar engine, because I would like to show you one of our last functionalities that we have integrated in JALTEST off-highway in the last updates, okay? That is the injector coding through trim files, okay? We have had this action through the manual way of doing, typing the codes of the injector in order to perform this injector calibration. And since the last update, we have this trim coding function, okay? So in order to perform this calibration, once we have connected, we should go to parameters, and here we have a lot of different actions that we can modify in the ECU of this Caterpillar, okay? Once again, we have a lot of technical information and another bidirectional test. So in order to perform the injector coding, we will go click on injector coding. We will accept the expert mode. And once here, JALTEST, as always, show information about the action that we are going to perform, explaining us what is the injector code and when it's needed. Here we have also how the injector show the information, the serial number, and other information for the Caterpillar parts. The second step will be the initial conditions, as always. And then we select the injector, okay? So once we select the injector, we click on modify, and JALTEST off-highway will ask for the trim file with the code of this injector, okay? So we click on accept, and automatically JALTEST will ask for this file. In this case, I have here the trim file for the C9 engine. I will select it, open, And automatically, if I will not be in the demo mode, we will see here the information of this injector. We click on OK, and JALTEST of highway let us know that the parameter setting process has finished it. Okay, so as you could see, we have a lot of different coverage. All the information is in the software. You don't need to go to external sources, and even advanced function that these injector coding are explained in JALTEST, so it's very easy. Okay, so we have arrived to the end of the webinar. And I would like to conclude highlighting the idea that Marcos and I have tried to transmit during this presentation, and is that JALTEST of highway is an all makes and all system solution with the capability of covering not just the most popular model, but also other makes and models and specific motorizations. As we have seen during this session, JALTEST of highway takes care of every system with its variants, and it's a solution developed for providing you the test and the resources needed in your daily task. In the session, we have focused in the most popular models, but we will see soon other webinars and presentation with more makes and more models. Okay, thank you for your attention, and let us know if you have questions. Okay.